Hey guys, it's Josh, and I want to talk about the coronavirus, the effects of a possible recession in wholesale real estate. So I'm going to continue to monitor this, guys, and I'll keep you guys abreast. But there's a few points I want to make here that are just vitally important to this video. So make sure you stick around till the end of this video. Number one, now more than ever, motivated sellers are going to need us. Okay, because there's still going to be people that are going to have situations that they need to get their house sold. People were already transitioning, the market was already transitioning into a convenience, iBuyer, demand economy, and now it's going to go even faster in these times of uncertainty, which means that you've got to have your conversion game stepped up and be ready to empathize with these sellers, get discounts on these properties, but solve their problems at the same time. So you've got to double down on lead generation. Okay, that's going to be super important right now. There's still going to be a market for cash buyers to buy properties. Rental investors are going to be able to get better cash flow. Fix and flippers. In a lot of markets, there's still super low inventory, so there's still demand from fix and flippers. And it's just very critical. But what we've seen, guys, is that it looks like we are possibly heading quickly into a recession. The stock market dropped yesterday more than it had ever dropped in a day, going back to like 1987, I think it was. So that was bigger than any of the drops that happened in the 2008 crisis. We don't know what's going to happen, guys. This is nuts. The stock market's been cut back by about 30-something% right now. It's huge. Trump issued a recession warning. The factories in China are closed, which means goods are not being produced. So there's going to be a ripple effect. Even if this thing gets solved tomorrow, like I said in my last video, there's going to be a ripple effect. So the thing you got to do is you got to position your business now for what's coming, regardless of if this thing turns around tomorrow or if this thing lasts a while and changes the way business is done forever. Okay, so guys, I was in this industry back in the last shift, and we had to make adaptations when we came out of that shift and the market rebounded. We had to shift again because we had been focused on distressed properties so much, foreclosures and short sales, that we had to make a big shift into transitioning to equity sellers. And here we are. This is now my third shift that I've gone through since I've been in real estate. So I hope I can offer any insight. If anybody has any questions, please leave those comments down below. I will answer them. We're doing a huge webinar next Thursday, a free training. It's vitally important. I'll leave the link in the description as well for that. It's vitally important for your business that you get registered to that. And I promise you that the stuff I'm talking about will be covered. And I will show you guys what you can do right now to increase your lead generation and stay strong and do more deals right now in spite of all the turbulence that's going on right now, not only in the real estate market, but in the economy in general. What we're seeing right now, I just got off the phone with my title rep. The first sign I saw of it impacting our local market came out last week. It was actually ironic because I just released a video that you can click here and watch regarding the effects of the coronavirus and how you need to keep a pulse on statistics. And so this is going to be a follow-up. I told you guys in that video I was going to be closely monitoring stats, and we are both from a macro level, looking at what's going on in our whole market as far as, new pending listings, new closings, new cancellations, etc., and also on a micro level, what's going on in our business. What are my friends seeing that are doing a lot of wholesale deals in my market? What's my title rep seeing? Ironically, right after that video dropped Friday, within about a half an hour of it dropping, I was actually in a meeting with some colleagues of mine that run another wholesale operation here in Phoenix, and they do a lot of deals, 15 to 20 a month actually. They're ballers. And they had just gotten their first cancellation. The buyer, he said, I'm going to walk on my 5K. I know I'll lose my 5K earnest money, but you know what? We're worried about the recession. We don't want to take this fix and flip. We'll cut our losses there, or our potential losses. I think they were making the wrong move. There's still like no supply in Phoenix, and there is still buyers. So buyers that don't have to move maybe will slow down. I'm not sure. And sellers that don't have to sell might slow down, but there's always sellers, like I talked about in that video, that have to sell now. That happened in 2009, 2008. It's going to happen now. But anyways, they had their first cancellation. Outside of that, I hadn't had anything really change. We put out a deal yesterday. It was a good deal. It sold in about an hour and a half, actually almost to the T. I sent it out at 9:15 and it sold at 10:45. So it sold super, super fast. And thank God I had the email blast ready to go the night before. In MailChimp, you can schedule your email to go out at whatever time you want. So I'll usually do them the night before and have them auto send out the morning at the exact time I want them to go out. And it was a good thing I did, because my wife woke up in labor in the middle of the night and I had my 4th child last night. Super exciting. But that property still went out, and about an hour and a half after it went out, which was about 4 hours after my little baby Francis was born, we sold this property. And so that was good news to me. I was like, all right, cool. We still got, stuff still moving. But then later in the day, a property that was supposed to close on Friday that had got delayed to yesterday because of loan docs from the hard money lender to the buyer, it got delayed till Monday, and then they reached out to me at the end of the day. I was like, hey, what's going on? I reached out to title, and I'm like, what's going on? Is the seller signed yet? Do you have loan docs in? Do you have funding? Do you have funds from the buyer in yet? And title was like, we don't have anything. So I reached out to the buyer. It was actually 2 buyers that were buying it together. One's more of an investor, one's more of a construction guy. So they put both their LLCs on it to buy it. And they said, one of them reached back out to me. He said, hey, the other guy, the construction guy, he's worried about the coronavirus and that we might be paying too much for this property. So unless we can get a $15K discount, we're out. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. Number one, you're out your $5K earnest money. Number two, I've got a $10,000 liquidated damages clause if you guys don't close that both of you signed. So that will hold, both your LLCs will be responsible for that, as well as you personally. Because in my assignment, in addition to that liquidated damages clause, a lot of people buy an LLC. So I put in the assignment that whoever the member is of the LLC, or the manager, if it's a managed or member LLC, or if it's a corporation, whoever the CEO is, whoever the signer is, I make them personally liable for that liquidated damages clause in addition to the entity. And you guys should be doing the same thing on your assignments. If you need help on that, make sure to jump into the code, because that's just one of thousands of things that nobody else does that I do and I teach as a result of my 12 years in this business. But anyways, guys, they were like, well, I guess it's going to be what it's going to be. I can't get my partner on board. So Josh, I'm trying to get him on board, call him. And I called him. I hadn't heard from him. Title company released the $5,000 to us this morning. And then within about an hour, I heard from the buyer, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to get this one done. So I don't know if it was that he was worried, he was pissed that he lost the 5K, or that he was worried about losing an additional 10K, or what it was. But both buyers are on board. So he goes, I was like, okay, so you're doing it in just your name? He's like, no, we're going to leave. Because I was like, well, let me send you a new contract. Title's already canceled that file and sent me the earnest money. He was like, well, no. He was like, we don't need to do a new contract. We'll just do an addendum with the title company. We're reopening it. He's like, because I'm leaving the partner on it. So I don't know what their situation is, but this market thing had an effect on them. If nothing else, it scared them. So I reached out to the title company, my title rep, and I asked her, I said, what have you seen in the last few days-ish, and compared to regular, in terms of canceled closings? And she said, not a whole lot. I've seen one, is all I've seen so far. She goes, openings are a little bit slower on new files. I have noticed that. But there are some actionable steps that I recommend you guys take right now that I'm taking in my business, okay? You want to divide your expenses in your business into certain categories. It's time right now to pull your bank statements personally and business-wise. Go down by line item by line item, all the way down your bank statements. Look at every single expense. This is what I'm doing, guys, and what I'd recommend you do. So the group A expense, these are things that we don't need. Okay, this is discretionary spending. It might be time to cut. Maybe you've got Netflix, Hulu, cable, and Disney Prime, or whatever, right? Amazon Prime, Disney, like I have like all of them. I'm sure you guys do too. CBS Extra, like whatever, all these things, right? Maybe it's time to cut some of those. Maybe it's time to cut all those. I don't know. I'm not going to get into specific examples, but you know what it is. You know the ones that you might really need right now, especially if you're buckled down in your house, and what things you can live without. So discretionary spending stuff, everything that you don't absolutely need, get rid of it, okay? Same thing in your business. If it's not making you money, get rid of it. I know during times of huge expansion and profitability, it's easy that we add these expenses that we think might propel growth, or we think might just make our business more fun or awesome. And these are times where we cut those things. We can always bring those things back into the business later, but don't let them suck your cash flow now while we are in a shift. That's one of the biggest mistakes you can make, all right? Now, group 2 is things that you may need, but you might be able to cut. And those are the things that you're going to look to cut next if you need to. So these are things that might be producing an ROI or might be softening your workload, but they're not absolutely necessary and the ROI is not super great, okay? So you want to look at those and have those as like your B list that maybe you need to cut next. And then your C list is going to be stuff that is profitable, but it's B list is like if it's barely profitable, could be profitable soon, etc. C list is it's profitable now, but the ROI is like, in my business, I'm saying between 1 and 4, right? So if I'm not getting a 4-to-1 return or higher, okay, that's my C list that I'll then cut if I have to. Okay, so I'm getting rid of right now all unnecessary expenses. Okay, I'm getting rid of a lot of and preparing to get rid of more B-list expenses that might give me an opportunity, but right now I'm not seeing a big return on. And then I'm preparing my C-list for things that are less than a 4-to-1 return, that if it gets down to it and business slows, I'll cut those items. And then a D-list would be things even maybe that are 4-to-1 return or greater, but that could slow down. Okay, so that's going to be your marketing. Marketing should be the last thing to cut if you're going to cut everything. Okay, you might have to work harder. You might have to, there's going to be a lot of shifts going on right now, right? There is a lot of shifts going on right now. So I recommend if you're going to cut marketing, that should be the last thing that you cut. But no, if you're running 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marketing channels, where your highest returns are coming from. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on the free live training next Thursday night. So make sure you're registered. Again, link is in the comments. But the stuff that you don't need, guys, take a hard look at your expenses, personal and business. I'm going to leave you guys with that. Crush City, peace, love, and real estate. And I'll keep you monitors as the situation progresses.